In a political era where words are routinely twisted and context is weaponized, the explosive exchange between Candace Owens and Congressman Ted Lieu during a congressional hearing stands as a powerful case study in narrative manipulation and ideological warfare. When Owens' nuanced commentary on nationalism was clipped and presented to suggest sympathy for Adolf Hitler, it ignited a firestorm, not because of what she actually said, but because of how easily political opponents can distort intent to score cheap points. What followed was a bold, unapologetic takedown by Owens, who exposed the dishonesty behind selective editing and refused to be boxed in by media-driven caricatures. This moment wasn't just about defending her words. It was a broader indictment of a culture where truth takes a backseat to outrage, and where anyone who dares to challenge the dominant ideological script becomes a target for cancellation.
Hey y'all, and welcome in. My name is Brian, and Candace Owens does not hold back when this woke Democrat takes her words out of context in the middle of a congressional hearing.
Of all the people that Republicans could have selected, they picked Candace Owens. I don't know Miss Owens. I'm not going to characterize her. I'm going to let her own words do the talking. So I'm going to play for you the first 30 seconds of a statement she made about Adolf Hitler.
I agree. I actually don't have any problems at all with the word nationalism. I think that it gets, the definition gets poisoned by elitists that actually want globalism. Globalism is what I don't want. So when you think about, whenever we say nationalism, the first thing people think about, at least in America, is Hitler. You know, he was a National Socialist, but if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. The problem is that he had dreams outside of Germany. He wanted to globalize. He wanted everybody to be German, everybody to be speaking German.
The only way you can get outraged at what Candace said here is if you read between the lines and assume someone else's meaning. Because Candace didn't say that Hitler was evil and his racism was terrible, his rhetoric was worse, and the Holocaust bad. Obviously, that kind of goes without saying, which is why Candace isn't talking about that. Candace is making a completely different point, but because Democrats live in fantasy land, they only hear what are dog whistles to only the most radical and ridiculous, and not, well, what Candace was actually getting at. And it's only going to get worse from here on out.
All right, so my first question is to Ms. Hirschenoff. Ms. Owens said, quote, if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. The problem is that he had dreams outside of Germany. So when people try to legitimize Adolf Hitler, does that feed into white nationalist ideology?
In this highly publicized congressional hearing, political commentator Candace Owens found herself at the center of controversy after Democrat Representative Ted Lieu played a selective 30-second clip of her past comments regarding Adolf Hitler, implying she was defending him. Owens was invited by Republicans to speak on matters of racism and nationalism, but her nuanced argument about the mischaracterization of nationalism was taken out of context by political opponents to portray her as sympathetic to Hitler, despite her clarifying in the original full interview, and again in the hearing, that she viewed Hitler as a homicidal, psychopathic maniac and not a true nationalist. This confrontation highlights a broader issue: the weaponization of partial truths in politics, where opponents extract clips, ignore context, and spin narratives to damage reputations and score political points.
It does, Mr. Lieu. I know that Ms. Owens distanced herself from those comments later, but we expressed great concern over the original comments.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Owens, I'm sorry, we just started recording. Would you like time to respond to that?
Yes, I think it's pretty apparent that Mr. Lieu believes that black people are stupid and will not pursue the full clip in its entirety. He purposely presented an extracted clip.
The witness will suspend for a moment. It is not proper to refer disparagingly or to a member of the committee. The witness will not do that again. Witness may continue.
Sure, even though I was called despicable.
Witness may not refer to a member of the committee as stupid.
I didn't refer to him as stupid. That's not what I said. That's not what I said at all. You didn't listen to what I said.
Of course he didn't listen. It's Jerry Nadler. This is his committee from a couple of years ago, and good grief. Again, I don't understand why Democrats seem to hear only what is not being said instead of hearing what Candace actually said. She didn't call him stupid, and as a matter of fact, he called her despicable and got no reprimand from it. She was talking about how dumb he was being, and instead of calling him dumb himself. She's better at playing by the rules of congressman than this Democrat was.
May I continue?
Please.
As I said, he is assuming that black people will not go pursue the full 2-hour clip. And he purposefully extracted, he cut off, and you didn't hear the question that was asked of me. He's trying to present as if I was launching a defense of Hitler in Germany, when in fact, the question that was asked of me was pertaining to whether or not I believed that whether or not I believed in nationalism, and that nationalism was bad. And what I responded to was that I do not believe that we should be characterizing Hitler as a nationalist. He was a homicidal, psychopathic maniac that killed his own people. A nationalist would not kill their own people. That is exactly what I was referring to in the clip, and he purposely wanted to give you a cut-up similar to what they do to Donald Trump to create a different narrative. That was unbelievably dishonest, and he...
Owens' response under pressure exemplified her resilience, as she called out the dishonesty and defended her broader point about the distinction between nationalism and globalism, criticizing how modern discourse often distorts intent for ideological warfare. The root cause of the conflict lies in the polarized climate where identity politics, media manipulation, and ideological dogmatism have eroded honest debate. Instead of engaging in genuine dialogue, figures on both sides often seek to cancel rather than understand, feeding a cycle of mistrust and outrage. The solution lies in intellectual integrity, listening to entire arguments, rejecting soundbite politics, and fostering discussions grounded in full context and mutual respect. Only through such good faith engagement can the culture move beyond performative outrage and begin to solve real issues surrounding race, ideology, and political discourse in America.
Did not allow me to respond to it, which is worrisome and should tell you a lot about where people are today in terms of trying to drum up narratives. By the way, I would like to also add that I work for Prager University, which is run by an Orthodox Jew. Not a single Democrat showed up to the embassy opening in Jerusalem. I sat on a plane for 18 hours to make sure that I was there. I'm deeply offended by the insinuation of revealing that clip without the question that was asked of me.
This whole video is an absolute testament to the ability, willpower, and intelligence that Candace Owens just brings to the table every single time. She was just derided and basically lied about by a congressman who, after he realized his mistake, was just sitting there with his body language basically going, "Oh crap, I screwed up." You can see it in his eyes, you can see it in his body language. It was amazing. But Candace sits there, holds her ground, pushes back, and it turns out she was right the entire time. She was right about her initial point, talking about the difference between the evils of the Hitler regime and what nationalism is supposed to be. Then she goes on to talk about how the Democrats have just weaponized language to the point where what you say is not what you said at all. This is some postmodern gobbledygook that has made its way everywhere from education to even our commercials now. This is the whole foundation for the DEI and its principles, and Candace fights back against that as well. Then the Democrats even bring in a witness who tries to tie in her words and say that, no, she's feeding into evil today. Give me a break. Give me an absolute break. Saying one positive about Germany, like saying the Autobahn's a good thing, is apparently giving credence to white supremacy. It's just dumb. And that's the kind of world we live in today, and that's why Candace Owens does the work that she does. And that's a big reason why a few years ago when this video originally aired, they were doing their best to drag her through the mud, and it failed spectacularly. Candace Owens is at the forefront, pushing back on these ridiculous narratives and fighting the ridiculousness of the woke left everywhere she can. We need fighters like this today in conservatism. That's kind of why I'm doing this here today. Folks, hope you enjoyed this segment. My name is Brian. Hope you join us next time for Brawl. Until then, y'all have a good one.